I'm so happy to welcome you all back into the kitchen because it's that time of year where we celebrate love. Now, that doesn't mean we don't celebrate our loved ones, because you should do that all year. You should celebrate the people you love, those close to you. But there's one time of year where collectively we all do it together. Whether you celebrate the holiday or not, I want to bring you a quick treat or a quick little snack that you can show someone you love just how much you love them. It's a very easy and simple recipe, so you don't have to be a baker, you don't have to be an expert. It could be your first time baking, which would be such a sign of how you care for someone. So as you can see, I have my little heart cookie cutters here. We're gonna make a very simple recipe that is gonna taste delicious and show so much love. And that's chocolate shortbread cookies. So good. Right here on the sweet spot. As I said earlier, this recipe is very simple and easy to make. It's only 6 ingredients and they come together beautifully. The first thing we need to do is mix all of our dry ingredients together. So you're gonna take your powdered sugar, your cocoa powder, and this one ingredient. Don't be nervous by using instant coffee. You don't get a buzz or that caffeinated kind of tang from it. What it does is it amplifies the chocolate taste. So go ahead and add that instant coffee or instant espresso. And then just kind of shift that together. You want to make sure that all of these ingredients are really mixed together. So I just take a spatula and fold it until they all come together. Right. So now that we've done that step, the next step is very simple. It's just creaming out your butter or smoothing out your butter in your mixing bowl. So take your 2 sticks of butter, just plop them right in there. And then with your mixer on medium, you're gonna wanna kind of mix these out or blend them out until it's nice and smooth. This is the base for your cookies. All right, so my butter is nice and smooth. What I'm going to do is take my spatula and I'm just gonna scrape down the sides of that bowl and kind of knock any butter off of the side of my mixing blade there. And now it's time to start adding your dry ingredients. I'm not gonna do them all at once, and so that I have a little room, I'm gonna remove the mixing blade temporarily. And then just pour about half of that powdered mixture or dry mixture in there. Put our handy dandy paddle attachment back on. And we're gonna mix this on low to get this combined. You don't want it, if you go from, with this mixture to medium, cocoa powder, flour, powder, sugar, cloud all over the kitchen. So start on low. All right, you can see if you look at my paddle, how that dough has come together, and you're starting to see like that cookie batter or shortbread batter. I wanna call it a cookie, it's a shortbread. And then we're gonna add the remaining dry ingredients. And get it all in there. All right. Once again, low. And then once it starts to get combined, if you have to raise the speed a little bit, make sure that the flour is pretty much incorporated, because if not, I told you, you're gonna have a flour bomb all over the kitchen. So I'm almost there. Before it completely comes together, I'm gonna pop in that little bit of vanilla so that it's mixed throughout that batter. And now I'm going to mix it, sorry, my New Orleans accent, y'all know it's coming out. I'm gonna mix it on medium until that forms a dough ball. All right, so it's ready. And don't be discouraged if it doesn't form a complete dough ball in that bowl. That's why we have two hands. All right, get all of it out there. And we're gonna encourage it. Get that on there. We're gonna encourage this to form a dough ball. So just bring it together and press it together. You can see it's starting to form that ball. This is totally okay, because once again, remember, there's not a lot of wet ingredients. The only wet ingredient you have is butter. So unlike making a pastry dough, usually there's water. If it's an enriched dough, there's milk. Most cookie batters have eggs. Once again, remember, it's butter and all those dry ingredients. So just form it together into that dough ball. All right, so I have my ball here. I got a rolling pan. You could lightly flour a surface, but I recommend, because this are chocolate cookies, you don't want a lot of flour, you don't want to dry it out anymore. So you could take just a piece of parchment paper, and I'm gonna use that to help me roll out my dough before we use the cookie cutter. It stops it from sticking, but it's also encouraging that dough to compact around that butter even more. So I know this made a lot of paper, but once again, just using my rolling pin with wax paper. If you don't have a dough mat like I have this pastry mat, you want to put down wax paper or parchment paper underneath and roll out your dough in between the two of them. And I'm just gonna roll it until I get the desired thickness. We're gonna do these about a ½ inch thick, but once again, it's totally up to you how thick you want your cookies. And I'm gonna finish rolling this out because it makes a ton of noise and you won't be able to hear me. So when we come back, I'm gonna have a nice, smooth, rolled out chocolate shortbread dough. As you can see, my shortbread dough is completely rolled out. I have the thickness I want. The thickness depends on how many cookies you get, also how long you want to bake it. Because if they're really thick, you might need a little bit more time. If they're thin, on the thinner side, you might want to shorten your baking time, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. Also, the size of cookie cutter depends on how many cookies you get. So as you can notice, earlier I showed you two. I showed you a large heart and a small heart. You can use either. I'm gonna go for the smaller heart so that I have a lot of cookies to share, but you could use the larger heart if you like. So now that I have my desired thickness, I'm just gonna go in with my cookie cutter and just measure out my hearts and just go in for it and just start cutting them out. All right, I got 4. Let's do 2 more. All right, just gonna break that up because once again, I can come back and just really reshape that dough and roll it out again. But as you can see, look at that. Beautiful heart, as you can see the thickness, but look at that heart shape. So we're gonna put that on our cookie mat or baking mat. If you don't have a baking mat, just a parchment paper lined cookie sheet will work the same. Once again, look at that. Great little heart shape. These don't spread out a lot, so you don't have to give them a lot of space in the middle. Once again, just gonna break that up so I can get my heart. Try not to get too much of the crumble on top so they have a smooth top. All right, then we're gonna put this other one on there. Trying to be so gentle. If you guys weren't watching, I would be just tearing this apart. See, once again, I was being rough and it came apart. But no worries, Because like I said earlier, we're gonna reshape the dough and cut out more hearts. There we go. And put that on a sheet. And our last one, and then we're gonna cut out a few more and finish that sheet off. All right. So I'm gonna finish these up and cut out a few more hearts. And then we'll come back and I'll show you how much time and temperature to bake these cookies. So I have my baking sheet prepared with my heart. Look, those look beautiful, right? So these are ready to go into the oven. But I told you I can make more. So I'm going to show you what you do. You just roll all those remnants up, form into another ball, and just repeat the process again. You're gonna put that parchment paper over top and re-roll this dough into a ball. All right, so before I do that, let me give you the instructions on what we do now before we bake. So you're gonna preheat your oven at 350 degrees. So let's go ahead and do that. So while our oven is heating up, we're gonna stick these in a refrigerator for about 20 to 30 minutes. Because once again, remember that you have that butter in there. You've been working it with your hands, you've been rolling it out, it's been sitting out at room temperature. You want that butter to become cool and chill so that your cookies don't go in the oven and spread everywhere, so they hold their shape. So we're gonna stick these in a refrigerator while the oven preheats. And while that's happening, I'm gonna work on my second sheet of heart-shaped chocolate shortbread cookies. My oven is now at 350 degrees. I've let my cookies chill in a refrigerator for at least 30 minutes. As you can see, my heart's all nice and lined up. If I touch, I can see that they're firm and they're solid, so they're chilled. So that'll stop them from spreading and just melting all over the baking sheet. So because mine are not real thick, they're not thin, I'm gonna bake these from 12 to 15 minutes. I'm gonna set my timer for 12. Just make sure they're not burning or breaking apart. I know they're chocolate, so it's hard to see when they're done, but you'll know they'll fluff up a little bit. So I'm gonna throw these in the oven. I'm gonna come back. We're gonna take them out and decorate them a little bit for a little flair. The chocolate shortbread cookies are all baked. I took them out of the oven, allowed them to completely cool on the cooling rack, as you can see here. And look, they kept their shape because we put them into the refrigerator. How cute is that? That little heart, right? So cute. All right, you can do any shape you want. You can even form them into a log, wrap them in plastic and cut them. I just find they do well with a cookie cutter. 30 minutes in the refrigerator, bake at 350 degrees for 12 to 15 minutes. A good way to tell if they're done, they're not gonna be extremely hot, as if you can move them around on the cookie sheet. You know they're done and they have a nice, and they're firm enough to really take out of the oven and allow it to cool. All right, so our next step is we're gonna decorate them a little. We could just serve these are super cute, taste great, but I wanna add a chocolate dip element to them. So I have chocolate melting wafers. The reason why I chose melting wafers is because they're simple to melt, quick and easy effect, and they set up nicely on the cookies. So these wafers are gonna actually melt in the microwave. I'm gonna set my microwave to 50% power, and we're gonna melt these for 20-second increments. When you buy your melting wafers, they'll tell you exactly how much time and what power in the microwave you need to go. The melting wafers I have here require 50% power, and they melt in 20-second intervals. So I'm gonna melt my chocolate so we can start decorating my cookies. All right, my chocolate is completely melted. I have some sprinkles here. I have purple, pink, and red. And all I need to do is just dip a section of my cookie, and then I'm gonna choose some sprinkles to put on it. So I'll show you how easy it is. I have my cookie. I'm gonna dip half of that heart, and I'm gonna hold it so you can see. So I'm just taking it in, and I'm dipping it halfway. Pulling it up, let that chocolate drip off. I'm gonna go back in. I'm gonna tilt it a little so I get, there we go, halfway. Let that extra chocolate just run off. Sweet. And look at that, see? I have chocolate, just half heart. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna put that right here and then just sprinkle some sprinkles on top. I've done a few in red. I'm now gonna switch to pink. So once again, I'm tilting my chocolate so that I can get half of that cookie. Take off the extra. Sit it down, pink sprinkles. And there we go. Let's do a purple one so you can see that purple. Take off that extra chocolate. Purple sprinkles. There we go. So I'm gonna finish these up and we're gonna come back and see what they look like at the end. So I'm all done. I've had so much fun dipping these shortbread cookies in chocolate and sprinkles. Look at that. They're so cute. Look. Let's get one here for you. Look at that. Isn't that cute? It's just the cutest little cookie. Thank you all. Love is in the air. I hope you make this treat, whether you make it around Valentine's Day or just anytime you want to give someone you love or a family member a sweet treat. These are great cookies to make. Super easy, as you can see. Great effect. And guess what? They taste amazing, because that's what I'm about to do next. Thank you for joining me. Hit like, subscribe, come back and see me right here on The Sweet Spot. That just tastes like love right there.